Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to another one of my Death Battle prediction videos. Once again, I'm doing a prediction for a fight I said I wasn't going to do a prediction for. I'm here anyway. In general, I am trying to do more Death Battle predictions, I think, because I want to get more involved, and I want to see if I can do predictions for characters that I'm not so involved with or not so familiar with, but still interested in, just to see how it goes. And of course, timing is a big factor as well, whether or not I have the time. But I do have the time for this one, so I figured, why not? Let's just try it. So the next fight that's coming out, that's after Gray versus Esdeath, which was a pretty good fight in my opinion, is Goro from Mortal Kombat versus Machamp, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Machamp, from Pokemon. Now, I'm not familiar, or too familiar with these characters in particular. Like, I'm somewhat familiar with Mortal Kombat, and I'm somewhat familiar with Pokemon, but in terms of Goro and Machamp, I'm not too familiar with them specifically Machamp. I'm not too familiar with him. Regardless, though, I have done some research on these characters, and I think I can come to a pretty solid conclusion for who I think is going to win. So yeah, I'll talk about the characters a little bit first, and then hopefully as I go on, you'll see who I'm starting to lean more towards. But yeah, I guess let's just get into it. So first, let's talk about Goro. So Goro, again, is from Mortal Kombat. When it comes to his strength, he's generally, I believe, portrayed to be one of the stronger Mortal Kombat characters. Like, I think even in some games, his attacks, just in general, have some of the biggest outputs. Like, he just has some of the strongest attacks in some games. I don't know how Death Battle is going to do that, or if they're really going to look into that at all, because I think, scaling in that kind of way is really messy, or it can get messy with fighting games, so I don't know how they're going to do it. They're probably just going to stick more to the feats. So, Goro, I know he's been in at least one Mortal Kombat movie. And again, like, they used that Sindel feat in Black Canary versus Sindel for her Scream from a movie. I'm not too familiar with that, but regardless, we're going to do our best to see, how strong he is. What I really hope, though, is that they don't go into the whole test your might thing for Goro. I know they will. They literally just did it for Sindel, but if you guys don't know, me and a lot of other people, we just don't like that they use test your might feats. And the reason for that is because they're not real, like, exclusive feats to the characters, Like, if any character can pull off that kind of minigame, then they're not reliable. And someone might say that, it's supposed to be showing that all characters can pull off this kind of feat. But that's the thing, though. The reason why Death Battle keeps using these feats in their videos is because they're the best feats for the characters. They're the best thing that they can pull out. Which, by definition, if there are no other feats that can support what they're doing in the minigames, which is what it looks like for most of the characters, then that's by definition an outlier. So you really can't use those kinds of feats, but I know they're going to anyway. They're going to say he can exert like 63,000 pounds per square inch or whatever, even though I'm sure he can't, because all Mortal Kombat characters are like that. I know he's strong, but I definitely don't think he's that strong. Regardless, though, we'll go a little bit more into his strength. I believe he has one attack where he's like, I don't know if it's an earthquake, but he can, like, shake the earth, which is really interesting. Again, I don't know exactly what this prediction isn't going to have, like, a lot of exact calculations, but, just to give some more, like, ballpark estimates of where these guys are. So yeah, he can, like, shake the earth with one of his attacks, which is really freaking strong. I don't think there are many Mortal Kombat characters that can do that. Could be wrong, but that's just me. And then, I believe, just like all Mortal Kombat characters, he can strike hard enough that he can, like, break internal organs and bones of even the toughest Mortal Kombat characters, etc., etc., and he's able to take these kinds of attacks himself, which makes him pretty durable. And again, he has a lot of experience. He's taken on he's fought a lot of Mortal Kombat characters. So yeah, that's really it for Goro. Except there's also, like, he has pyrokinetic abilities, which means, like, he can infuse his fists with fire, which is really cool. He can also, like, shoot out fireballs. I believe he can shoot, like, a bigger fire blast. I think he can set the ground on fire. So he's pretty versatile in that sense with his pyrokinetic abilities. But there's not much more for Goro in terms of his versatility in general. Like, I know he's got a lot of his fatalities and brutalities, and he's pretty skilled with his forearms. Like, he can do a lot with those, a lot of different variations of the attacks. But, I don't want to go into all of his fatalities and brutalities, all the names of those kinds of things. Really, the main thing that you have to know is that he's one of the strongest characters in the Mortal Kombat universe, theoretically. He's really durable as well, able to take hits from some of the strongest characters, really experienced, he's really skilled with his arms, he's got his pyrokinetic abilities, and when it comes to his speed, that's something I forgot to mention. His speed, I believe, is kind of, inconsistent when it comes to the games. Like, I think in some of the earlier games, he's actually faster than he is now. Like, now I think he's more portrayed to be as, like, one of these, like, brute-like characters that really is not that fast. Although I know he has one attack where he kind of, like, jumps off screen and then just lands on his opponent, which at least makes him really agile, and I think that's even in, like, some of the newer games. Again, I could be wrong, but that's what I understand. So, again, he's not the fastest character out there, but I guess he does have his speedy moments, if that makes any sense. But yeah, that's really all you have to know for Goro. Really strong, really durable, pyrokinetic abilities, and again, that's really the biggest extent when it comes to his versatility. But now let's talk about Machamp. So, again, I wasn't too familiar with Machamp beforehand, so I, started with the basics, looking at, like, Pokedex entries and his abilities, and honestly, I feel like you really don't need to go much further than that to get an idea that Machamp is going to win this fight. I definitely think that Machamp is going to kill Goro in this fight, just based on these Pokedex entries and his abilities. Now, in terms of the Pokedex entries, I don't know how literally Death Battle is going to take these, because on one hand, I want to say that a Pokedex entry is more reliable than, say, like, Sonic's boasting or something, even though I still do think that Sonic can go at light speed. I understand why they don't want to take, his boasting literally. But with Pokedex entries, I think they're at least more reliable. But on the other hand, though, I know that Death Battle really likes to rely on their feats, like what they've shown to be able to do, which I do understand, of course. And then there's also, I think some Pokedex entries have shown to be, unreliable at times. Regardless, though, I think that there's still a good tool to use for just showing what the characters are supposed to be in the ballpark of, what they're supposed to be capable of, even if we haven't actually seen them do it. So again, we can take the Pokedex entries with a grain of salt, when trying to take them literally, but I still think that they, just outlining what the character is supposed to be capable of is enough to prove that, Machamp just has this fight. For example, let's talk about strength. So there are a lot of Pokedex entries from various games, but for strength, the main things that I keep seeing are that he can send foes flying over the horizon, whether that's by throwing them or punching them, which is something he has shown to do, so I know that they can definitely take that into account. I believe he can send, like, a train flying with one punch. I don't know how big a train, but still a train nonetheless. I think one of the biggest ones is that he can move a mountain just with one arm, and he has 4 arms, by the way. That alone, I feel, is more powerful than anything we've seen Goro do, but it doesn't stop there. We also have the fact that apparently he can send out, like, punches that are, like, what is it, like the force of a bomb or something, and megaton punches, supposedly. Again, I don't know if they're going to take this literally, but regardless, that paints a pretty clear picture of, who's supposed to be portrayed as the stronger character. Again, moving the mountain is enough, I feel, to overpower Goro, and probably even enough to overpower Goro's durability. But the fact that they're saying that he can hit with the force of a bomb, or at least he's approaching that, and hit with the force of, like, a megaton blast, a megaton, which is 1,000,000 tons of TNT. Like, that alone, like, I feel like one punch from Machamp, and Goro's basically dead. I really don't see how Goro can stand up to that kind of thing. Like, even if we use the Test Your Might feats, it doesn't compare to Machamp in the slightest. And now let's talk about speed. With speed, the two things that I see most often is that he finishes his foes off with blinding speed, whatever the hell that means, but then he can also throw, I believe it is, 1,000 punches in 2 seconds. For those of you guys that don't know, that's 500 punches thrown in 1 second. And also, for you guys that don't know, that's 125 punches thrown by one punch or one fist in 1 second. That's a lot of punches. That's more than we've seen Goro do, I'm sure. And it's definitely, like, Goro doesn't have any sort of Pokedex entry that would say that he can do something like that. So, of course, Machamp, in terms of just attacking speed, which is obviously, with them trying to stay in range, that's going to be really damn important. Like, that also outclasses him by so much. Like, I really don't see anything that Goro can do in order to close that wide of a gap. Again, he could try, like, leaping and jumping on him, but that's not going to take him very far, I feel. Especially considering that, his durability, Machamp's durability, if he's able to take attacks that are comparable to his own, then I really don't see Goro being able to overcome Machamp's durability. And as I said before, Machamp being able to throw those kinds of punches, I don't see Goro being able to stand up to that at all. Especially if he's throwing, 125 punches from one fist in 1 second, the force behind those punches too, if they're going that fast, they're going with even extra force. So there's really nothing that Goro can do, I feel, to defend from that. I really don't see Goro walking out of this okay. I think he's gonna die. And that also kind of plays into experience. Like, both of these characters are from fighting games, so of course they fought a lot of different characters, but in terms of overall, like, the variety of the different types of characters they fought, combined with how powerful those characters are, again, I think if Machamp is able to take on characters that are comparable to his own level of power, I feel like Machamp has probably taken on more powerful characters overall. Like, again, like, Goro being one of the strongest characters in the Mortal Kombat universe, I feel actually puts him at a disadvantage in this area, because that means he hasn't fought too many people that are on his level in terms of physical strength, which means that his durability feats probably don't go that far. Again, this is more so speculation, but again, like, even without durability, just the strength and speed alone, I feel, is enough to kill Goro, but there's even more after that. So again, with durability and experience, I think it's pretty safe to say that Machamp has those advantages as well. And heck, there are Pokédex entries that say that he's mastered every single martial art in the world. First of all, what the hell? And second of all, again, I don't know if we take this literally, but I don't care how many variations of, like, fatalities and brutalities that Goro has, there's no way he's able to stand up to that level of skill. And then there's versatility, which is a little harder to pin down, because again, both of these characters, most of what they're capable of doing is, like, with punching with their forearms, and, of course, Goro has his pyrokinetic abilities, and I don't know how far they're going to go into this, but when looking at Machamp's attacks, he has a lot of different attacks, a lot of different types of attacks, too, like fighting, rock, he's got some fire ones as well, so there's that, I believe even some psychic and ghost type attacks. Again, I don't know how many of these he can actually perform on his own, but regardless, I still think it's safe to say that in general, Machamp has the versatility edge by at least a little bit. So, and then of course there's, like, intelligence or whatever, but even if Goro was light years beyond Machamp in terms of intelligence, there's really nothing he could do that could close that wide of a gap in everything. Really, the way I see it, like, Goro is impressive in strength, speed, durability, experience, versatility, and fighting ability. But the same could be said for Machamp, and he's at least one step above him in every single area. Like, when it comes to strength and speed especially, I don't see how Goro's going to be able to stand up to that. I don't see him... I really just don't see him winning this fight. But anyway, guys, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Do you think Goro's going to win? Do you think Machamp's going to win? Let me know why down in the comments below, because I really want to know what you guys have to say. And if you enjoyed this video, then please give this video a huge like. I always appreciate the likes. You can leave in the comments down below what you thought of the video, what you think of the fight, anything like that. And if you guys could subscribe to my channel, that'd be so great. That would really help my channel out. But no matter what you guys do, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm excited for the battle. I hope you guys are excited for it too. And with that, we're calling it here. So see you later, and have a good night.